No, man, I had the same issues with my kids. Like, now that I'm doing boxing, I kind of teach them how to strike just in case they ever need to defend themselves. And that's what I tell them. Like, and they ask me sometimes, like, why do you do this? I'm like, it's never a bad thing to be able to defend yourself if you need to. You don't know if you're ever going to actually need to. And I'm like, I don't want you to go out and like pick fights and start fights, and you'll definitely get in trouble if you're starting fights. But if someone's picking on you and you need to be able to defend yourself, you need to know how to do it. And I think every single person should know how to do that, right? Like soft targets. That's what bad guys go
comes
after.
down to like teaching your kids the difference. Like when I was getting picked on, I'm sure to a certain extent, like if it were like I was getting ridiculed relentlessly, my parents would step in and be like, all right, this is inappropriate. But like just someone calling me a fat ass one time, my parents would be like, all right, well, like go do something about it, So I think there's that line of like, all right, if you're getting bullied relentlessly, it's like, the parents should step in. But like in my scenario, it was a very, very short window of me getting picked on and then me doing something about it. And so like with teaching your kids like self-defense or how to fight, it's like, yeah, absolutely. I think it's great for body coordination, for fitness, everything. And it's something that the three of you can bond over. Yeah. But then it's like, there's the responsibility of still being a good parent of like, all right.
And teaching them the lessons.
Like just because now you can kick everyone's ass in your grade doesn't mean you should. And it's like, I think that's super easy to do.
And not only that, not only defending yourself, you should be defending other people too that can't defend themselves. Right. Mm-hmm. That protector in a sense, that's something that I've had instilled in me since I was a little kid. For some reason, I always felt very protective over my family. And, I teach my older son, I'm like, hey, if anyone ever steps in on your little brother, like you better be the first one there. And if you're not, you're going to deal with me. You know what I mean? And the same thing.
Do you think that's why you went into the military? Do you think that's why you went into the military, Josh?
I think there was definitely some of that, calling for that for myself, to want to protect this country. So I think so. I don't think it was the only reason, but it was definitely part of the reason.
There's a father at Avi's Jiu-Jitsu studio, and he did something. I think it's called Kempo. I'm not familiar with it, but it sounds like there's a lot of striking in it and a lot of like you do bad shit to people. And it sounds like he was very accomplished in it. So I asked him, I said, hey, why don't you and his boy's 8. And I said, hey, why don't you have your kid in Kempo if that's your discipline? And he said he wanted him to do jiu-jitsu first before he learned any striking or anything that was that was seen as more aggressive or violent, because he felt like that the control that jiu-jitsu offers is more appropriate for handling situations for young kids before they get control of themselves, and they don't just see that like, hey, if all your kid knows is boxing and he gets in a conflict, he's just going to throat punch someone.
Yeah, I agree.
And I thought that was kind of cool. I was wrestling and jiu-jitsu. Yeah, first.
It's a great point. Yeah, my kids actually have learned wrestling before before I started working striking with them. Right, they've been wrestling since they were 3 and 5, and so I agree with that. I think that's a great a great aspect. Right, being able to like put hands on someone and not just tee off on someone's face. Right, like it's very different.
Right.
I love that term. Just tee off on their face.
Just tee off on their face.